Who's ready for a live psychic reading? I know I am. Let me bring in my co-host, My Killer Podcast. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you? I'm
I'm doing all
excited.
right. I'm glad, and I know you're scared as
I'm
well. So,
scared. I'm scared. I'm gonna wait
my
and
other
I'm gonna see how it
co-host,
goes.
yes, my other co-host, the one and only Nog Ross. How are you, sir?
Hello. Hello. I am well. Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to getting back with the two of you to keep on chugging along the ultra terrestrial pathway here. But very excited about this episode. So this is going to be fun, and life is good. Life is good.
Now, before we bring on our guest, who will give me and Phil a live reading here, you've never had a reading before, have you, Phil?
No, but I'll tell you this. So, I am very open minded. This is going to be interesting because um, when I was younger, and this is going way back because this is before computers and everything, when the newspaper would get delivered, I loved reading the horoscope, and I would play like the whatever the little games they had in there, the crossword and all that stuff, right? The words, whatever. So, but I love reading the horoscopes. But then after a while, I started like every time I'd read the horoscopes, bad shit would happen to me. So I quit. I got very superstitious with the horoscopes in the newspaper, and I quit reading them. But that's dating myself a little bit. But we all know, I'm an old fogey. That's okay. But yeah, I'm into this. I'm looking forward to it. But as far as a formal like reading or anything, no.
Okay. Mel, what about you? I know you've got some trepidation. Tell us about your fears.
So I've never had any kind of readings before. I've actually shied away from them a little bit. It might be because of my momster. I talk about her a lot. She is a huge horror movie fan, so I've seen all of the horror movies. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful in any way, but I have. But she has always been anti, this kind of thing for some reason or another. So maybe I got a lot of that fear from her. And it's not that I think any kind of way about it. I don't have negative thoughts about it. I don't feel one way or the other about it. I just kind of shy away from it, like, I'll pass on that. I'm not gonna do it. So I've just always not done it in my life.
Okay.
So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to relax and I'm going to see how it goes. And if I feel comfortable, I have met the lovely lady backstage and she is quite nice. So that makes me feel comfortable already. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. You thought it was going to be like the gypsy lady and Drag Me to Hell?
Like I said, I try to be respectful, but I was not sure what I was walking into here today.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what thought I was coming into.
Okay. Well, I've had a couple readings in my 3 that come to mind. And one of them was with our guest today. By the way, if you're watching live, you will get a chance to have a reading. Not everybody will, but we're going to pick at least 2 people from the chat to get a reading from our lovely guest. Let's bring her on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Azriel is here.
Hello.
Yay.
No.
Thank you for joining us, my dear. It's been a while since I've seen you. We've connected and chatted through Instagram, but how have you been? It's been a while.
It has been a while. I think, man, since I've seen you 4 years.
Something like, maybe more. I don't know. Time flies.
Maybe more. It does fly. It does. But yeah, everything's great. It's really cold out here in Ohio, where I'm at right now.
Ooh.
But it's not, what was it, -6 anymore, so that's nice.
I feel that, yes.
Hey guys, it was like 40 over here, just so you know. It gets cold in California too.
We don't even want to hear it.
Okay.
We were in the negatives too.
I had to use my windshield wipers the other day. It was I was It was rough.
Yeah, we
It was
don't want
rough. I
to
made
hear
it through it.
you either. We don't want to hear you either. I'm over here scraping my windshield with scrapers and ice
Yep,
and snow and things. Okay.
I mean, it's
Well.
only 57 here right now, so
I have to start my
You know,
car 15 minutes
pray-
before I
pray
get in.
for
Before
us.
going anywhere, right?
yeah.
Jesus.
I have to drive 15 miles an hour so I don't slide in the ditch and die.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's real.
There's no safe place to live. Here we're ducking forest fires and mudslides.
This is true.
I
This
know.
is true.
Nowhere is safe in the world,
Nowhere is safe.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
This is true.
Anyway, let's talk about happier things. Okay. Azrael, how would you describe yourself? Is a medium, a psychic? What is the term you use?
Honestly, I don't use either term anymore.
Hmm.
If anybody, like on my website and all of my information, I'm a personal consultant. I even dropped spiritual consultant because it just didn't feel right. And I hesitate to include myself in a lot of the woo-woo, psychic, medium, mysticism, stuff like that. And I think because I don't use any of what most people think are the traditional tools, like the tarot cards and pendulums and chicken bones and runes and all of that stuff. It's just a conversation that I have with my client, and it's almost like a therapy session in most cases. So there's a lot of information to glean, and as open and receptive as the client is, they're going to get that amount of information. And if there's something that I'm not really able to tap into, I'm straight up, I'll let you know. And I try with clients, I try to cycle back. I always keep notes. So if something kind of hits me after the fact, then I'll cycle back and I'll reach out to them. But so much information can be brought out of a very condensed period of time. So I like to keep it fast, in which case it doesn't always allow for me to sit and ponder, I don't have the luxury of time when I'm trying to get as much information as possible to sit and ponder on one thing. So, and I don't do the doomsday, any kind of doomsday stuff. I've had people ask me, when am I going to die? When is someone else gonna die? Like, I'm not gonna answer. Like, I don't want to know when these people are gonna die. Why do you want to know?
Fair enough and good. That's probably good.
Yeah, and I think too some of that probably has to do. I was raised Seventh-day Adventist, so very strict Christian upbringing, and I was terrified of myself for a really long time because grew up thinking that all of these gifts and abilities that I had were evil or bad in some way. And I still have kind of like with the mediumship part, yes, I can communicate. I hate calling myself a medium because it gives me the ick. It gives me the freak, like I don't want to be a bad girl. And that's what I grew up hearing was, that's all for bad people to do. So I still have a little bit of growth personally, which I'm working on it, but as a whole, yeah, I would just say I'm a personal consultant.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mel, do you have a question? Or
do
Phil?
I have a question?
I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for the guests at the beginning? I'm deferring to my
Oh,
Yes.
I thought I indicated that I had a question.
No.
No.
So I'm curious then. So is this what you do for a living? And if so, how are you are you open to new clients? How would people reach out to you for your services or whatever? Is that something that you do, I guess?
Yes. So I do consultations as well as body modalities. So I'm into the healing arts. So between the two of those, and then I have, my side hustle stuff just for the fun of it and keeping up with investments and growing my nest egg and all that stuff. But as far as a professional standpoint, yeah, those are my two. That's my bread and butter, those two. And I do take on new clients. There is a slight wait time. I, at the moment, would not be able to tell you what that is, but my assistant knows. So if anybody has questions, you can just reach out to Alejandra Salazar on my website. It connects you straight to her, and she'll be able to let you know when my next availability is.
Nice. That's a good thing that you're busy. That's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll put all that information in the description of the video, so you can reach out if you'd like to hear more. Let's backtrack. When you were young, I mean, I'm assuming this is when it started. What was the first sort of inkling that you had a sensitivity to anything?
I was maybe 2 or 3. We were living in New Zealand, and in
Wow.
the bedroom, kind of going off, there's a little bit of a hallway between the bedroom and the washroom. There was this big closet with a sliding glass mirror. And one of my first memories is sitting down in front of that glass sliding mirror and talking to the people inside of it.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So that was probably my first, that I can recall at this moment, my first memory of that. So it's been a lifelong, I would say gift, but a lifelong ability. Ability is better.
So are mirrors still a big thing for you? Do you still use mirrors?
You know, they're really not. I had one terrifying experience when I was stupid in high school, and there was that, what was that thing, that Bloody Mary? You look in the mirror, and you think,
that's exactly
oh
what I
my
was
gosh,
thinking.
nope, no, that was awful. I've never messed around with the mirrors again.
What?
I
So
believe that.
you have to tell us what happened though, that because like I thought that's bullshit, but what happened?
No, it wasn't so much that I saw someone else, but I saw myself turn into some weird, twisted, demonic looking, not me, but it was still me, kind of an image, and I was like, nope, that's enough of that. I'm not doing that again.
Wow.
Wow.
You should do that, Mel.
Ha!
No. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, I don't recommend. Do not recommend.
Okay, so you had a sensitivity, when you were young. We've gone ghost hunting technically twice because we Cobb Estate I would count as a thing that we did some spiritual hunting at. Now we met through a mutual friend who passed away recently. His name was Elaine. Great man. He was really sick, and we lost him last year, unfortunately. And that's how you and I sort of reconnected after that. But he was with us on an investigation. Like I think the only real ghost hunt we did at someone else's home, at least together. And there was a moment. So backstory on this. This older lady called us to her house. She said her grandson's room, if I remember correctly, felt oppressive, and the grandson was scared of being in there. He said there was somebody in there who was keeping him up and bothering him or whatever. And we were called in. I think Elaine had known this family before. And we go into this room, and it just felt like a regular bedroom. I'm not a sensitive at all. Like I've mentioned before, I feel like sometimes I'm an anti-magnet to spiritual stuff in a way. But walk into the room and
hold on, you're cutting out, dude.
He gone.
We lost him. All right, everybody, hold on.
Give MC a second to. He's probably still talking. Doesn't realize.
or something that's supposed to threaten little children.
MC, we're losing you, dude.
Okay. Did you guys?
Didn't hear any of what you just said.
No, we lost you for like a good minute there.
Yeah.
The whole screen went blank on me, which is so strange because
it's Mercury retrograde. I'm telling you.
It's the weirdest thing. Like all your screens went black, and I'm like, "What the fuck? Is that on me?" And I wasn't sure. So hopefully, at least you guys are live. Anyway, as long as it wasn't black on the live, that's fine. Anyway, so I started calling the spirit out. Hey, leave this kid alone. You're not allowed to touch him. Blah 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 blah. And I started to feel a pressure on my shoulder, like something was dragging me down, and it was the weirdest feeling. But it wasn't like I felt like something pulling me. It felt like a weight. And I remember coming to you and saying, my shoulder feels really weird. It feels like tight. And then you came over and started like kind of like massaging it and saying something, and then it went away. And then later on, Elaine got really emotionally affected. Do you remember that? He started crying and
I
he had to
do.
leave the
Yeah.
house.
He was sobbing.
So what was that? What do you think that was? The thing that touched me and the thing that affected him?
So that entity was actually I don't want to say a little boy. He was like a teenager type, like younger teen type energy. And he actually left. He came back with Kelly and myself. She was another part of the investigation group, and we were living with each other at that time. We invited him to come back with us and leave the family alone. But it was him. We called him Peter Pan because that was the energy that he exuded. It was very mischievous. It was very selfish and draining. And that's what that pressure was. So between you feeling what you felt and Elaine being overcome with emotion, it was kind of like his way of messing with your heads and trying to, because knowing that they're here to try to kick me out. I don't want to leave. You can't tell me to leave. You're not my dad. You know what I mean? So it was easier for Kelly and myself to invite him away than it was for you and Elaine to try to kick him out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that was one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had doing that. What about I think you went on to other investigations with Elaine. Is there anything else sort of memorable in the ghost hunting space?
Yeah, we had one. Where was it? It was like an old asylum. Did you ever go there?
I didn't. Not that one.
Did not? Okay. That place is epic. If you ever get a chance, you should go because it's wild in there. But Elaine had brought in the K2, I think that's what it's called, with the flashing lights, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And we were trying to distinguish a new way of communication to where I was kind of like the antenna and I would relay information to Elaine and he would ask the questions. So I really didn't have much. I would like text things. I was on my phone texting, ask this. And so he would read the text and ask out loud. And then the K2 would alert yes or no. So there was one point in the hospital where there was a woman, female presence, and everybody in the room felt it. And Elaine wanted to know what her name was. And so I asked her in my mind and my way of doing it. And she said, Janet. So I texted Elaine Janet and he said, is your name Janet? And it went like all lit up and like, well, hello, Janet. And
wow.
Her experience at that hospital was just horrific. She was one of the nurses. She was a little bit, I wouldn't call her so much of a head nurse, but she had that kind of vibe. I can't say for sure that she did or she held that position or not, but she was definitely in charge of everything. You know, she took control, and there was some unfavorable interactions going on between one of the doctors and several of the nurses, and she kind of stood as a buffer as much as she could between that doctor and these other nurses. So that was kind of a huge release. I think once that information all came out and we're all standing in the room looking at each other going, oh my gosh, that's awful. Just this weight lifted, and it felt almost like the room had cleared out. Like there were, if anybody, maybe one or two people had stayed, but it was almost like just they were able to leave. Now, whether it was just they decided, okay, we're over this, we're over you, you're boring, and took off to someplace else, or they were actually able to move on to somewhere new, I can't say for sure, but the energy was insane. It just felt like a hot air balloon, just that slow lift off.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Has and now you said you brought Peter Pan with you, but has anything else followed you home that you didn't want to be with you?
Oh, probably a lot of times. Well,
so does it really work if you're like, you have to stay here, you can't come with me? Does that actually work?
Yes and no. So there are
Dang
catches.
it.
There, I know. There are catches to that.
I was really holding on to that one.
I've heard it's pretty powerful, but
I know, right? I was like, I'm going to say this everywhere I go.
Right. So if it's a disembodied soul, then yes, they'll listen. If it's something else, then there can be a little bit more difficulty in setting that boundary. But if it's just a disembodied soul, yeah.
there you go. So no demons. Those will come with you.
They get to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. Don't say that.
I don't know if this is weird or not, but I usually operate with a dual laptop situation here, and this secondary laptop is like wigging out, and it's never done that before.
So now all four of us have had computer issues, because before we went, I was like sitting here fine, and then all of a sudden the pages wouldn't load or anything. I had to reboot the computer.
Yeah, usually I have like the stream open over here, and I like chat with the chat just to keep things, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything on my laptop shut down, and it's been rebooting ever since.
Wow.
I don't know if that's weird or not. I'm just.
Well, what? Okay, so Azrael has said Mercury's in retrograde. What does that mean?
So astrologically, when a planet goes in retrograde, we'll just be specific to Mercury. So Mercury rules communication. So any form of communication right now is either delayed or misconstrued. So sending text messages or even being on the phone with somebody having a conversations can get misconstrued, misunderstood. Emails will sit and cycle around. There it is. It's still black. Electronic devices won't work. Flights will have delays. It's a hot mess. Mercury retrograde.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my life has been completely chaotic the last couple days here, and so
yeah, I had the worst day ever today. So Mercury sucks.
Mercury, you bastard!
If that's what's up, Mercury can suck it.
Yeah.
Well, it's worse for Phil because he's a robot, so his technology is all over the place.
Oh man, Phil, that's the worst.
Yeah.
He's a sex robot, though, so
I do what I can.
he needs a day off.
Oh man.
All right. Well, let's get to the fun part. Phil, I'll let you go first, man. Azrael,
Third.
go ahead. He's all yours.
Okay. Do you have anything in particular that you would want to know about, or do you want me to just kind of try to glean what I can?
I mean, so I'll give you a bit about me if it maybe help or whatever. My big thing. So, like when it comes to, any psychic abilities or even religious or afterlife or anything like this, I'm very open-minded. I've had experiences where people that have passed, I felt like they've either sent me a little message or kind of come or visited me or whatever. And so, it's like, I really, it would be cool to know more about what's going on with that and understand like some of those things. But I'm all about it. I just like, I was saying, like the last couple days, man, I'm telling you, like if it could go wrong, it has. So I don't know if that's like, I mean, if it's Mercury or whatever, but I'm like, I'd love to know more, but I don't even have the foggiest where to begin.
Okay, so off the bat, and I don't know how comfortable. Well, you said that you're comfortable. This will be something for you to set with and chew on for a while, I'm sure. But your sixth sense, your second sight is I don't want to say it's on point because it's not there yet, but it is very strong. So coloring, there's a specific color blue that shows up to me for people who are able to, who, like they have all the clairs, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, all of those, as well as empathic abilities. But yours, if you trained yourself, if you allowed yourself to be open to receiving information, you would be a very strong receiver of information. So when you say, just sidestepping for a second, when you say that everything has gone wrong, are you talking about like relationships, or are you talking about just your like Mercury stuff that Mercury is messing around with?
No, I mean, it's so like, I had to fix my car, went to the shop. I had to get 2 different parts. Both are wrong. The shop was 30 miles away. In fact, when we're done tonight, I have to go back to the shop.
Yeah, that's Mercury.
I mean, it's just like a lot of those type of things, have been over the last, in general, as far as family life and those things, that stuff has been fine. But it's just like those little, the things that are just kind of annoying, and like you feel like like, I'm going to the parts store. I'm going to buy this part to fix my car. They give me the part. I go home. You feel like you're doing the right thing. And then it's just like, wham. So, but I mean, if that's, the Mercury retrograde stuff, then otherwise
there's no dark cloud over you. There's nobody standing behind you, messing with you. It's just the planetary alignment right now. That'll sort itself out soon.
Yay.
Okay.
That's good news.
That's good. But, I've worried because, and this is, not something I've never been able to kind of explain what, maybe caused some of these other things in the past, except for the fact. So first time that Jose and I went ghost hunting, when we left, I didn't know this was the thing to do, but they all asked the beings, whatever, to stay there. I didn't. I came home. I had a computer die. I had a phone die. I had a laptop die. I had like all these, I had a camera die. All these electronic devices around me just went kaput over the next few weeks. So I was like, did I have something like follow me home or something like that? I don't know. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it was also Mercury retrograde at that time. I don't know.
For things like that, it is really, really common for cell phones, for batteries to die, for lights to go out after having a paranormal investigation. Whether or not you say stay here, it's not so much that there's an attachment that has followed you or is connected to you in some way, as much as being in that space. It's electric, it's energy. They are 100% energy. And so when we interact consciously, deliberately, it actually is a bit depleting to us. So when we go home and all of this stuff is like breaking or dying or this or that, it's because of our own energy. It's not necessarily because it followed you home.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That had been on my mind for a while, but
I bet it would have been on my mind too if I didn't know any better.
But also, so starting like in 2017, I hadn't known anybody. I'd known nobody to pass away aside from my grandfather, who died like in the 90s. Nobody in my life or close to me had passed away until like October of 2017. My grandfather died, and then like a few months later, my mom passed away, and then like my father-in-law passed away, and then my mom passed away, and my brother passed away, and uncle passed away, and like people in my wife's family. So like since October of 2017, 11 close family members to me have passed away. And so, but almost each time I've had a weird experience. Like, so, like when my grandfather passed away, I woke up in the morning and it was like one of those where you had the dream, but it all comes back to you at once. And, so it was my grandfather telling me I needed to make amends with my brother And and I hadn't talked to my brother in years. And I'm like, why is he telling me I need to make amends with my brother? Well, I'm waking up because the phone is ringing, thinking this at the same time. My dad's on the phone telling me my grandfather had passed away just like 2 hours before. And come to find out, and this is what I believe, is that he was telling me to make amends with my brother, because not only did my brother pass away like a year and a half later, but like 6 months after my grandfather passed away, my mom passed away. And I think he wanted my mom to be able to pass away in peace, knowing that my brother and I were good. So that's it, so like all that came to me. But then each time somebody else close to me passed away, I had an interesting experience similar to that. So, and I could sit here all night telling you stories, but we don't have all night. But but it is interesting to me that these things happen, and sometimes I don't get it. I don't understand, but I'm never like scared of it. It's always very interesting to me, like as far as how to read it, how to interpret some of these things.
Right. So it's good that you're not nervous about any of it and that you can just allow things to come in. Are you a Pisces?
Cancer.
You're okay. Water. Water's water. Usually Pisces is they're like between Pisces and Scorpio. They're like the psychics of the zodiac. Cancer, water sign, very active. Water is very energetic and a good conduit for these kinds of abilities. Not always. Cancers don't always want to see things, though. So I'm glad to know that you're open and that you're willing to receive. And the way for you to start, if you decided that you wanted to start enhancing these gifts or abilities, rather, would be to start in the not in the waking life, but in the dream state. That seems to be what your mental capacity is willing to work with at this time. And then progressing forward, and it's going to be more for you, and it's different for everybody, but for you, it is going to touch on that empath side of you. So anything that you think, any information that you download, that you see, that you hear, the way that you would be able to discern, is this just me making things up, or is this something real? Is this information I should be listening to? It's going to be a feeling. So if you don't get, and it'll be a really clear feeling that kind of permeates through everything. So if you're wanting to expand on that gift, which I really think that you should, because it's very vibrant with you, the ability that I see that you have, I think you could do a lot with it. And being cancer, that's all about the home and nurturing and loving and helping people. So if you were to marry those two aspects of yourself, you could really do a lot of good for a lot of people if you did more paranormal investigations, or if you decided to do readings. It would be a powerful experience, not only for the people that you work with, but for you as well. Anytime that we give a reading, it's just like giving advice, where sometimes the advice you give is the information that you need to hear yourself. It's all about growth and learning and excelling. And so it's going to be beneficial for all parties if you do decide to tap into it.
And it's funny, I get that, because throughout life I've always, like with jobs and different things, I've always been in like either management or leadership capacities and stuff, and where I've always had a lot of people coming to me, and it's easy for me to point them in the right direction. You need to be doing this or that or whatever. And then sometimes I'm like, I need to take my own medicine, and sometimes it's hard to do that. But I kind of get what you're saying there with that. I mean, as far as on a just a awake conscious level of interacting with other people, that kind of makes a lot of sense with me right there. So, and maybe that has something to do with what you were saying there.
Well, good. I'm glad it resonates.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Do you have anything else you'd like to ask, Phil?
So you know, and I based on what you said and stuff, you know, I don't. This is, you know, the whole, you know, it, you know, is there afterlife? Where's this? Where's that? You know, all these specific things. I think those are tough questions. I think I would imagine they're very difficult to answer and stuff. But you know, but to me, like my biggest question in life in general is um beyond this world, because I felt like there's like with family and people that have passed, it's like um I almost feel like they've had to maybe wrap up their business and then that they were able to pass on, you know, or leave. And you know, that's kind of why I felt like with my mom, it was so important for me and my brother to make amends and, you know her job was done. She could rest easy.
Mhm.
My grandfather, same thing. He could rest easy. He, you know, he said his piece and stuff. But it's, you know, to me, it's like, is there, you know, because I always feel like, you know, what's going to happen next? There's always something looming. And is there any way to kind of like forecast or maybe, you know, pick up signs or anything like that I could do to kind of go, like, for example, one thing is, so every time I started writing a movie and we wrote the movie and then we started going to production, and then that's when everybody started dying. Like my grandfather started, you know, passed everybody. So I'm scared to death to open up this movie again and get
Oh.
going on it, because every time I do, I kid you not, somebody dies. So you know, it's almost like a movie in itself. So I mean, is there maybe anything that, you know, I could either do or look for, or anything, or suggestions as far as how to kind of handle that situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what I would do, and I wish that I could help you with this part of it, but as my knowledge on these things is very limited, but I would, before doing anything else, I would seek out an astrologer to see where your north node is lying in your chart, in your natal chart, because that's a span of time where it's like everything that could go wrong will go wrong, heartbreak, disaster,
Oh,
all just really heavy stuff. And from I just exited mine after 19 years. I thought this is my year. I'm finally out of the North Node
Uh,
nonsense.
okay.
But I would check into that first, because I don't get a sense of of an attachment on you. Everybody, there's, with the exception of one person who I feel kind of comes in and out of this space down here. Everybody that you said has passed on. I don't sense that there was any need for them to stay here or come back here. There's just one person that I said, like I said, is kind of fleeting, moves in and out on occasion, but there's
Mm,
no negative energy with that person. There's no it's a male energy, by the way. I would say younger side, but I mean, what is that? Like, I don't know, maybe 30s or 30s vibe,
yeah.
young in heart. um Not too responsible. I don't know. I'm not trying to knock the 30-year-olds,
Yeah.
but it's just kind of that vibe,
Yeah.
that the perception of life that this person had is, it was very, I'm in my 30s. But so I don't see any attachments on you. I wouldn't be concerned with you having brought back something with you from a paranormal investigation. Like, I don't see anything, and I don't taste anything. So a lot of times, if there's an attachment, I'll taste it, or I'll feel it on my own body, and I don't get any of that from you. So that's where I would start, is check and see what your placement is with your north node right now, because it could be just an astrological thing.
Okay. Yeah, and that's cool. And I mean, my brother passed away at 47 years old, and I mean, his life, he was like a vagabond and kind of never really was responsible and stuff. And so, and he and I, we had a tumultuous relationship. Of course, I loved him, and but like I went off into boot camp in the Marine Corps, and I came home and found out he moved off to Florida while I was gone. And I mean, we're talking the 90s. So these things were important to me at the time. Like my music collection, my comic book collection had disappeared. And then later in life, he bragged about how he pawned. He had these things and pawned them. And I'm like, no, but he didn't remember that he stole them from me. But his life was just very all over the place. He would live in Florida for a while, Nebraska. I mean, just like back in California, back in Florida. And so, as far as that type of person you speak of, I mean, very well could be my brother, because like with my mom, with my dad, with my grandfather, with so many people, there was that definite, I saw or experienced something and I felt something, and it's no longer there.
Yeah, you had closure.
Like there, yes. With my brother, we just found out, we found out he passed away in another state, and yeah, zero closure with that relationship there. So, that's if I'm guessing, that's probably where I'm guessing it is. I mean, and it's close. I mean, it's close to me, being my brother.
Right. Well, and then too, if we weren't, many times, I'm not going to say all the time, but much of the time, if we're not ready to leave, and Jose, we'll talk about Elaine here in a second because he wasn't ready to leave. That's when we tend to stay. We'll stay around, and in my experience, what I've learned with the people who, or the spirits who stay, it's either because of that, because they, what's the saying, that unfinished business, that can be loosely whatever, like they could just been not ready to go and they're adamant, I'm staying, Yeah. Or it can be a grief factor. If there is too much grief, it's like a weight. So from the people who are grieving the loss of their loved one, anytime anybody has come to me with something like that, asking to communicate with their loved one who's passed, I always stress that you need to find closure immediately, in all of the ways that you can. You need to be at peace with this new way of life without this person, because if you sorrow and wallow in your grief, that is going to act as a weight. It's going to keep them here, and we don't want them to be here. They've got other things to do. We want them to be able to move on.
Yeah.
And that being said, when we stay, there are a lot of characteristics that we keep because it's a part of us. And so with the impression of this being of your brother, we'll say that it's him, going back and forth, just kind of coming in and out. That kind of lines up with what you're saying he was like in life, where he would just kind of hop around and do whatever. So yeah, I would think that it's safe to say that that's him. If you're needing closure, like I said before, your psychic antenna is up at night like crazy. So you could sit, you could meditate, you could ask, you could do writing, you could do all of the things. I'm not saying to not try the different ways of strengthening that muscle, but if you wanted to have a little bit of peace a little bit faster with him, I would start in the dream state, so you can kind of put yourself into a little bit of a meditation, just kind of repeating something. It's almost like self-hypnosis, where you repeat to yourself something right as you're drifting off to sleep, and then you just let whatever happens happen. The trick, or the key, is rather to not expect anything. The second we start expecting things to happen, the more it's like, and that's kind of a universe, kind of like magnets, yeah, it's kind of that same energetic feeling. So as soon as you just let it go, this is what I'm asking for, and whenever it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Generally, it happens straight away. So you could get answers tonight. If you tried it tonight, you could get answers in the morning, or it could take a few weeks, but it will come. I do feel like you would have that closure on your own.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's wonderful. And that's definitely as far as, and I'll wrap it up, so you can talk to Jose. But I definitely feel like, yeah, anytime I've looked for stuff, there's never been anything there. But the things that I have experienced have been out of the blue, and but very, overwhelmingly convincing.
Mm.
So it just yeah, it's so I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably my brother, but I mean, it could be one of my Marine brothers that you didn't come home or something, but probably my brother was would have been the closest, probably that tie there. So,
Yeah,
but that's awesome. Yeah.
I don't pick up on Marines. Usually that comes home. So I my former husband was a Marine.
Mm.
There's a very specific energy that goes with Marines, and that usually comes through pretty strong with people who, even when they've passed, it's a pretty
Yeah.
macho energy.
Hmm.
Yeah, we got issues.
Yeah. Oy.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Phil, if anything else comes up, um, we'll address it down the line. So if anything pops up, just hang on to it.
Yeah.
Ezra, before we go into me necessarily, let's talk about Elaine, because he was somebody who was very spiritual, very religious, and I know he was sick for a while. Obviously, he just become a grandfather, so I could totally get that he wasn't ready. Let's talk about him.
Uh, yeah, it was. So I got the notice of him, and we'll just start with his passing. Kelly had reached out to me and let me know that it had just happened. Like we were on standby for it to happen. We knew that it was coming, and she let me know when it did. And the anxiety that I felt was there. I've had maybe two other experiences in my personal life with things that I've gone through where the anxiety, like, I felt like I was going to pass out. It was so extreme, but there was no, like, not to say that I'm jaded or anything, but I handle this stuff all the time. I'm there through so many passings, sometimes in the room with the family. And so I was thinking, well, perhaps it's because, I was close with Elaine. We had a friendship. There was a bond. Maybe this. And then it's like, no, that's not it, because I've been there with family members. What is this? And then I just heard, no, 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 no. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he had this thing, like, with you. I'm sure he called you buddy all the time. He called me buddy all the time. And he said, buddy, no. And I was just overwhelmed. Like, I'm overwhelmed about talking about it right now with emotion. He was adamant he was staying. And it was one of those things where like, I was not there in person. I'm across the country, obviously, but to get the psychic impression of where he was at, it was almost like he was trying to climb back in. Like, his body had expelled him, and he was like, oh heck no, and he was trying to force himself back in. And so I let Kelly know, I'm like, we need to pray hard that he is able to overcome this. Sorry. And to be okay with leaving, that things are going to be okay, and everybody's going to be all right, and he doesn't need to worry. And but yeah, oh man, he fought. It was tough. I had him energy wise, I had him kind of following me around for about 3 days, and in a heavy way. So normally between 3 to 6 or 7 days, sometimes 8. If we need to go around and do extra stuff, there's the time to do that. We can kind of check out whenever we want to. It's not like the alien beam that goes down and sucks you up, right? It's what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even find it at the moment. It's a deliberate act to do.
Okay.
So it was, yeah, about 3 days for him, and then finally he mellowed. He was still around, and he was there at his service, and I think his boys picked up on that. I've not asked because I don't want to just, I don't know, I don't be insensitive, I guess, to be like, hey, did you, you know, there's certain things you just never know how people are going to receive questions on things like this with people that they
Yeah.
love. So I tend to kind of stand back unless I really know the person, and I don't really know his sons. So yeah, it was intense. But I think when he left, it wasn't a progression. I was expecting him to be like molasses, just taking for freaking ever to go. But it was almost like after his service, it just dissipated. Just was okay. That's good. I'm done.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
he was a really incredible person, and I always loved that he was so religious in his heart and his soul, loved his religion, was very devout, and was a ghost hunter. I always
Wow.
thought that was fantastic, and so many of the experiences that he had, and he had a lot, he tried so hard to rationalize it and debunk it. And there were some times that he just couldn't do it. I would look at him like, man, really? He's like, oh, I know, but I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to be able to do this. Because he was a major empath. Elaine could feel things from a mile away. Like, he was very much empathic. But he was adamant he didn't want to have anything to do with that skill set. He did not want to exercise it and help it grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was an interesting guy. When I had found out, and I was supposed to go to the service, but my son's being homeschooled right now, and he had his first field trip that day, and I'm like the Mr. Mom. My wife's got a full-time job teaching, and so my son's isolated at home. This is the first time he's gonna get to meet the people in his classroom, so I was like, it was one of those Sophie's choice. Do I drag him to a funeral, or do I take him to a field trip? And I said I'm gonna have to do the field trip. And then in the back of my mind, I felt like Elaine was saying, that's what I'd want you to do.
He would,
100%.
I mean, he wouldn't. I don't think he would have wanted me to bring my kid to to a funeral. I think he'd take him to the field trip. That's exactly what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember later on just thinking about him and what it would be like. He's on the other side now, and I just remember thinking, whatever you do, don't hang out here, man. Go. They're gonna be fine. You just gotta go. And I don't know what that prompted that, but that was just in the back of my mind that I was just telling him, "You don't worry, man. Go where you need to be now." So it's interesting that you said that he was hanging out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I had
that impression. I love that. Good for you.
And I wish, part of me wishes he had come to visit. Like if I saw, oh my God, Elaine's in my kitchen right now or something, or if he visited me in a dream or something. Because we had talked about that. I go, look, whenever one of us passes, we got to visit the other and say, hey, this is what it's like. Now, we had wanted for a while, wanted to go back to Cabo State. Elaine was my partner on that, Phil, by the way. When I started doing haunted hikes, he was my partner on it. I'd wanted to go back there and bring a spirit box and try to contact him. And I was going to bring his family with us. But timing just never worked out. I think he passed away in October or something like that. August, yeah. And then it was just holiday after holiday, and it was just never right. We're not going to do it. Halloween is it's always crazy, and it's fresh in their mind too. We're not going to do it during Thanksgiving. We're not going to do it during Christmas. January, there were fires. They just lost their house. I don't know if you heard this.
Yeah.
So Elaine's family lost their house in the Eaton fire. So there was just never a good time to do that. So I still haven't, but I think if I do get a chance to do that, I'm hoping he'll be able to come through and say hello, and at least give us some information.
Try in March. I don't know why they just showed up March, but yeah, try in March.
Okay,
See if everybody
will
can
do.
and
I actually want to put down the calendar right now
do
because I'm gonna forget that. So I'm gonna say March 5th sounds good.
Sure, why not?
I'll say, and my keyboard's kind of weird, but I'll put it over here. All right. I'll just say Elaine, and then I'll know what that means. Elaine event. Perfect. Okay. So that's in there. Okay. So switching gears.
Wait,
To
wait, hold on, Jose. I'm so
go,
sorry to
go.
interrupt you. I have a request though. If you do that, if it works out in March, would you have me on the line? Like, would
Oh
you call me so that I could be a part of it?
yes, absolutely. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, that'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Well,
That'd be great.
yeah. We'll keep in touch about scheduling that. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, sorry. Now continue.
No worries. Okay, so yeah, all right, my turn. So I guess if you're asking what I'm kind of you know, career wise, obviously the film business is up and down,
Mm-hmm.
and this year is probably my most seesawy, kind of up in the air year. So what do you see, pal?
I see it continuing that way.
Great.
The thing though, the way, and I love that you called it a seesaw, because what I saw were kind of waves, so it's similar idea, but it's not, there aren't high highs and there aren't low lows, and there's not a lot of time in between, so it's going to be a consistent pattern for you of, I've got this done, and then kind of nothing's really landing, or nothing's aligning the way that it needs to, and then all of a sudden, okay, yeah, boom, 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 get this done, and then nothing's happening, and I would expect that to continue. Let me see if I can get a duration. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I think she said you're going to continue working for the asylum.
Oh,
Nothing, boom, boom, boom. Nothing, boom, boom, boom.
Let's see. For you, though, you don't have any birthdays or significant events in August, do you? I mean, other than not talking about Elaine or anything, but like you personally, Jose.
no, nothing in August.
I would put that on my calendar too then. There's a lot of weight for you in August, and I mean like substance, like a substance weight. So
Okay.
that's encouraging to me. And through that month, I feel it carried through the month. So yeah, August would probably be a decent month for you.
Okay, that's good.
So if you had any, it looks busy too though. So be very organized. How organized are you?
Well, it depends. I can be, but
Okay,
I have
well then you need to
prepare.
consider hiring on somebody who is more organized than you are to handle all the things that are going to need to go down in August, because it's almost
Wow.
like what they're telling me, sizzle reels. So like, how at the end of the year, it's not in August, it's usually like late October, early November. I used to get anyways flooded with people trying to do interviews and inviting me to do talks here and there and do shows and all that stuff, right? And putting together a sizzle reel. So I feel like there's going to be possibly a lot of networking for you in August, and you would need to be organized to make sure that you're communicating with everybody and not forgetting anybody, because yeah, you want all of these people, all of these little gems are going to cycle into your energy field. You want to keep them all. They've all got a purpose. They're all going to be able to help you, not just in the month of August, but like it looks like it spreads out through, definitely through the end of the year. So yeah, you've got a lot of work August through the end of the year, but it's probably, it's probably not the work you want to be doing. So hire someone to help you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of tracks. I kind of see what you're saying.
Get it?
I'm trying something this year, where I'm trying to step away from a certain company and branching out for bigger and better. But that is, that's hard, because not that this other company is easier, but it's opening up to a bigger playing field essentially. But you know it's there's 10,000 other batters and things like that, so um um it's tricky. And I don't want it to be a down year, but and I was really really positive about 2025. But I don't know. I think recently the fire has been dampened a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Don't look at it that way.
Okay.
Just because it's not exactly what you want right now doesn't mean that you have to think long term, which they're showing me is really tough for you. I had no idea that seeing long term is tough for you.
Well,
How can that be?
I'm impatient, but I do think in the grand scheme of things, but I would say I'm definitely impatient.
Impatient. Okay. So then that's something, some self-growth for you to work on, because it's not a bad year. Just because you're not getting all stoked up and things aren't happening right now doesn't mean they're not going to happen. It's going to be a consistent ebb and flow through the year. And then, like I said, August seems like there's a lot of weight, there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of little fingers kind of networking out. So just be persistent, be what's the word, tenacious, plan, get help planning if you don't like to do that. And it's really not, it's not a bad year. It's going to be, it's fine. Not the most exciting year right now, but it's better than a shit-tastic year, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. So you don't see any dark clouds or anything heading my
Looming
way.
over you? No, I
Yeah.
don't see any dark clouds looming over you.
Okay. That's good. By the way, if you're watching live and you want some advice from Azriel, chime in the comments and we will spotlight you. Just make sure that you're still watching. So if we choose your comment, you will be able to benefit. Okay. Is there any last thing you think I should know or be aware of, like avoid the color red or something?
Let's see.
It's very specific.
That is very specific. I don't know. Should you avoid the color red? You said
I don't
it.
know. I'm just saying. If anything pops up, you can let me know later. But
Right. So, well, no, there's family stuff. I don't know. Well, you know what? How about we talk about that off
Okay.
of here? But there is something to bring up. But yeah, that's a little bit more private.
Oh, okay, great. Well, good. I appreciate you keeping the privacy.
Yeah, of course.
Mel, what do you think? You want to hop in here? Come on.
I don't know that I have anything in particular to talk about.
Can I share something with you, Mel?
Sure.
Okay.
You're going to die.
No. Not at all.
I knew it.
Oh, man.
So I do this for a living. And there is one other person who does what I do, who I will reach out to maybe once every 4 or 5 years. And it's not because I don't have questions that I can't get to on my own because I'm too close to the situation. It's because I want to be able to learn my lessons. I'm a tough learner. I learn the hard way in everything. So I would rather learn it on my own, upfront, in my own time, when I'm actually going to get it, when it's going to resonate for me, than be told something and then be paranoid about, because I'm also I like, I am OCD like crazy. I have 4 different calendars and that I operate off of. And so if I had some kind of information, me personally, where I'm like, okay, in 5 years, you're gonna, I don't know, you're gonna buy the Cobb estate, and you know what I mean? Like, how am I going to do that? I don't have the money to buy Cobb estate. Oh, 5 years, that's not nearly enough time. And then I'll get in my head and I'll ruin it. You know, I will just sit there and absolutely ruin the outcome. And I know this about me. So there's no reason to feel like you need to have a reading. If there's something outside of yourself that you really feel like I need guidance, that's a different story. And I actually, with a lot of people, so my clients get screened, and I will not work with the woman who wants me to spy on her boyfriend or spy on her husband or cast spells. None of that, you know. So like, I get asked those things a lot, and so yeah, there's a screening process for a reason. But if you feel like you need guidance, then ask. If there's nothing that you feel you need guidance on, if you're learning your lessons and you're settled and you're secure and you're happy, there's nothing you need to know.
I mean, I wouldn't say any of that, but I guess I don't. It's more
I was
like
giving you an out, Mel. I was giving you an out.
It's more like the list is so long. Where do I start?
What about
Mel, one of those.
Can I lend you a hand, Mel? What about career? You want to discuss?
You'd be here for days.
Do you want to talk about career? Maybe career advice, or
no?
You don't sound convinced.
My career is kind of what it is. That's probably the only thing I'm sure of.
All right. Well, that was great, Mel. Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks for having me.
Are you sure this isn't the last time? Because I can put you guys in touch off air, but
what is it? Does anybody else hear that? I'm sorry. There's something. Yeah. It sounds like EVP is coming through.
I am hearing crunching or something.
Yeah.
But there's definitely dialogue in that noise.
That is weird. Elaine, are you here? Wait, is that me?
I
think it might have been me.
I mean, okay. I heard it, but I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay. Well,
it might be you.
That is really weird. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna.
Maybe it's not.
Is your microphone red?
It is a little bit.
Uh-oh.
I'm switching my AirPods. What? That's weird. Do you guys hear it as bad as I do, or is that me?
Yeah.
It's like government interference. Have you ever had that on the phone when you're talking to somebody and it gets all crackly?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm not welcome in this conversation.
That is very strange. It's never been this bad.
Wow.
Such a great.
That's strange. I can still hear it, but I muted my mic.
Yeah, and it was for a minute there, it was your voice reverberating, but there's other bits of it that are not. It's different dialogue.
That's strange. Okay, it's gone now. Well, at least for right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's really weird.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, whoever you were.
Yeah. Mel,
maybe that was my cue not to go.
Maybe. So you'll continue to pass? Yes, Mel, or do you want to say something?
I don't know.
Okay. How about well, Azriel, do you see anything that you'd like to share?
I have a dark cloud.
Uh-oh, Ezreal froze.
Ezreal's gone. Uh-oh.
See, it's
Man.
me.
What is that?
It's
Is
me.
weird.
Man.
This is bad news.
Oh, no.
See,
Oh, maybe she rebooting now. Wow.
this is bad
You know, it's-
news. I should not be doing this.
It's funny. There's so and I don't want to reveal exactly like who or whatever because I don't want people reaching out to her. But there is a family member of mine, excuse me, who is very in touch like Azriel, and she would just call us like out of the blue and go like, "What's going on with you? I feel something's going on." I was out in Vegas with Matt and a couple other buddies, and we're driving along and we're having this conversation. It's kind of like a deep emotional conversation about like religion, faith, stuff like that. And I mean, we were all dealing with some type of tragedies in our life at the time and stuff. And all of a sudden, boom, this person calls me and she's like, "What's going on? I feel something." Hadn't talked to her. And however long, there's no way she could have had any clue like what we were talking about or going through at that time. But she's very in tune with things and it reminds me a lot of Azriel. It's very interesting. It's very interesting the way kind of, like the kind of picking up on things.
Looks like she's come back into the stream, but she's having device issues. So I'll wait for her image to pop up, and then Mel, prep a question. Come on, I'll help you. Relationship, shoe size,
Shoe size?
money woes.
I'm gonna stick with the dark cloud because I feel like
Okay.
that might be a thing.
Really? You feel like you have a dark cloud?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, she's here.
Well, the studio and everything around you is looking wonderful right now.
Thank you.
Got like a good presence, a good vibe going on, at least, visually.
Thank you.
Does that pumpkin turn on, the Halloween pumpkin? Does that have flames?
It has a light on the inside. I haven't pulled the battery tab yet.
Don't do it.
I know. I'm holding out.
I pulled his light and then I turned the lights on. I forget about him and now the batteries are dying. So I regret it.
Is that a popcorn?
Yeah.
Thing?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Popcorn bucket. Hello.
So's that Scream one, isn't it?
Yes.
Now hopefully she'll come back in, but if for some reason we're still having issues on her end, then I think we just chalk it up to fucking Mercury.
Yeah.
I feel like it's me.
Crazy.
But you know what we'll do? You can ask her the dark cloud question, and we can talk about it next episode. And then we'll hear what's going on.
Yeah.
Here she goes. She's in the private chat. She said, "It won't. My phone was at 100% when we started, and it crashed."
Ooh,
That's
wow.
weird. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
We definitely
That
have
gives me the ick.
a connection. There is definitely between maybe all of our superpower Wonder Twin powers together is definitely bringing something from beyond to.
Yeah. Very
That's
odd.
too bad. Well, she's awesome. If she doesn't get to come back, if she sees this, that was awesome. I'm thrilled that we
was
got to have
great.
this experience with her. And that she was
was,
game for jumping in here.
Yeah, it was a very fun episode. She says, "I got hooked up to my high power battery and it's not turning on. I can answer questions this way though." Okay, so I'll say, so Mel's dark cloud. We'll see if we get an answer. Unfortunately, I can't share this on the screen, but it's in the private chat. Mel's dark cloud. Does she have one? All right, so we'll see if she can answer a question through that, and then that'll be a wrap for this episode. I do want to remind folks we will be doing a reaction video. I'll probably throw it up before the end of January, so at least we get the 2 in January up. We're doing drone videos. We'll try not to talk about that too much. We're gonna save it for the drone reaction video, but we're gonna be doing a reaction video and a live interview show. every month. At least that's the goal going forward. Okay, Azrael has responded. Are you ready for this, Mel? Can you read it in?
Had she
Uh,
called that?
yeah. Okay. So she says
Now I
it's
kind of want
never
to talk to her a little more.
Oh, it's self-sabotage. Oh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
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 You nailed
That
that.
about made me cry.
Wow.
Ah.
Well, she says that's good because you have control over that. That's a positive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
better than no, you don't have a dark cloud, but you do have a ghost sitting behind you. So that's better. It's something you can
surrounded in the
control.
dead.
Yes. Yes.
So she says it's totally positive. I guess now that you're aware of that, stop doing that, idiot.
Yeah,
know?
I guess.
Feel the love.
That makes you feel better.
Ah, man. Well,
Nope.
the good news is Creep IE is this weekend, and I have the Fangoria magazine set aside for you with the whatever that movie's called that they're
Lost
having.
Boys.
Yes, thank you. So
Are you
I
getting
got that up.
the entire group? Or is it like the entire thing?
I'm not what I
Exercise.
I
I
believe
need
me,
to do
I
that
need to.
too.
Speaking of
At the
which,
convention.
where's everybody else's swag? I went out of my way to make sure I put my swag on.
I know. I'm sorry. I failed us. I failed us.
I kid.
I
Well,
still need
Mel,
to buy one.
yes, you do. Mel, she says you can talk off air, and I'll put you guys in touch.
Thank you.
That's a wrap
Tell her
then.
thank you.
I hopefully she's listening, and she will. Azrael, don't worry. We will. I'll put you in touch with everybody afterwards. Okay, gang. Episode. I don't remember. 3, 4, 3.
Something
Like
I
that.
don't even know.
Something like that. Everybody's contact information for the YouTube channels, respectively, is in the description. I will put Azrael's information there as well.
Nice.
Any parting thoughts, Nog Ross?
You know what? I thought it was very interesting. Did you mark on your calendar? Did you say you marked March 5th that you were going to reach out? So you realize that's Ash Wednesday. So it's kind of an interesting correlation that you picked that particular day. So
it doesn't even say it on my calendar.
Yeah, and it's also National Potty Dance Day. So there's that. So I'm on a website. When you said March 5th, I go, what correlates? Does anything correlate with that? And then Ash Wednesday is the first thing that came up there. So that's interesting. But you know what I love about her is that, because I feel like a lot of maybe psychics or mediums and folks like that maybe would be kind of anti-religion and stuff. And so I love the fact that she doesn't shun religion, and that she's open to it, because like I was saying about the family member of mine is very, very, very religious, and she has what I feel is similar abilities and so similar communication. So I absolutely love it. It was an amazing experience. I had a blast, and I can't wait to see you guys again on the next one.
Mel, any final thoughts?
Speechless, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well,
blew me away in the last minute or so.
It's amazing. That's powerful. Not like in all seriousness, it's very powerful. But but if the way it resonated with you about the self, your ability to kind of control things, you just actually have to go do it. That's, hopefully it doesn't cause you to lose sleep or anything. But I think, to me, if I have the ability to change things in life, man, I wish, because sometimes I feel so dang hopeless. So having that ability, hopefully it doesn't screw you up, because I know you were very apprehensive about hearing anything at all. So hopefully it doesn't. We love you.
I just wasn't expecting such an accurate reading.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it ended on a really strong note, especially for you. I mean, she didn't pick up. I mean, on previous things, she's picked up. Oh, you're too awesome and cool, you know. And I'm like, I get it, and I'm trying my best, but trying my best to calm down, but I can't. But I'm glad she picked up on something that will hopefully help you, and hopefully you guys can connect afterwards. Ezreal's great. We'll have her back. You know, if we do like a ghost hunting kind of episode, we'll have her back and maybe do a round table kind of thing about different ghost hunting experiences. I think that could be fun. And
you know, 'cause I'm sorry, and I did want to mention, because you know, this is like our first episode since all the fires and everything, and it is just so tragic. Everybody's that lost their lives, their homes, everything. Heart goes out to all them, but also I'm very grateful that we got to go, and it became so insignificant as the fires raged and burned down so many homes. It was like, man, it did burn down the what's it called, estate there. And so, you know, hopefully the entrance is still there and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But something to talk about in a future episode maybe is, could a fire devastation like that remove some of the presences or entities from that place?
That's interesting. Ezra, if you're still listening, I think she is. Would that happen? Would a fire, let's say at Cobb Estate, would that sort of clean the energy? That's kind of interesting. I never would have thought of that. But that's compelling. She says somewhat.
Okay. Yeah, and I thought about that when you two were talking. I go like, oh, I got to save this, and then I kind of forgot about it now. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drag things out, but
no, it's all good. Last from Ezra, she says, thank you all. It was awesome to meet you. And she says, thanks to me for the invite. Well, you're very welcome. You're welcome back anytime. And as for you watching at home, I guess if you have questions for Ezra, you can reach out to her. Description will have her information. For now, we bid you adieu. Yeah, drop a thumbs up. Subscribe for more crazy content. And I think I speak for Mel.
Do you? I don't know about this.
I think I speak for Mel when I say boobies, boobies, boobies.
Okay, maybe.